When Chloe Bennett handed a love letter to my fiance, Ethan Carter, everyone in the corridor burst out laughing. She looks like a literal whale. How does she think she has a shot with our star quarterback? Seeing her eyes well up with tears, I stepped in and stopped the jeering. I tried to comfort her, but she spat right back at me. Audrey Miller, I don't need your fake pity. You're such a hypocrite. The next morning when I opened my eyes, I realized I had somehow turned into Chloe. Before I could even process what was happening, my phone rang. It was Chloe calling from my old number. I paid a witch online to swap our bodies, she sneered, her voice dripping with malice. I want you to experience what it's like to be poor, ugly, and pathetic. From now on, your billionaire parents are mine and Ethan is mine, too. I hung up the phone. I looked at my reflection and actually smiled. I was finally free from that living hell of a home. I was finally free from my toxic fiancé. She had no idea what a horrific price I had to pay for my perfect body. I woke up in Chloe's bed. Rich, warm aroma of freshly baked pastries drifted into the room. I rushed out the door and saw Chloe's mom, Emma, busy in the cozy kitchen preparing a feast of a breakfast. I swallowed hard, my mouth watering. Emma turned around and gave me a warm, gentle smile. Morning, Chloe. Why are you up so early today? I made your favorite pumpkin waffles. I walked over to the table, grabbed a hot waffle and began to devour it. As I chewed, tears of pure joy streamed down my face. Couldn't remember the last time I had tasted sugar. My breakfast had always been strictly limited to one hard-boiled egg and a cup of unsweetened almond milk. Once on Halloween, I sneaked a single piece of candy. My mother slapped me across the face, so hard my ears rang. Emma froze, looking at me with deep concern. Chloe, sweetie, what's wrong? Are you feeling sick? Do we need to go to the clinic? Seeing her frantic, genuinely worried face made me sob even harder. My own mother had never looked at me with that kind of love. Once I sprained my wrist badly during ballet practice, my mother banned me from going to the hospital. She was terrified that a cast would ruin my look for a high society gala that evening, ruining my chances of networking with eligible bachelors. I reached out, holding her rough, warm hand and whispered, Mom, I'm okay. Hearing my voice, her eyes turned red. Are you still upset about that boy? Going after the person you like is brave, sweetie. The people who laughed at you are the ones who should be ashamed. In my eyes, you will always be the most beautiful girl. It felt as if something warm and heavy had just filled my hollow chest. Chloe had such a loving mother, yet she had never learned to cherish her. My phone buzzed again on Snapchat. Chloe had sent me a selfie. In the photo she was wearing my face, dripping in my diamonds, posing in my designer gown. Her smile was incredibly smug. Look what your parents just bought me, a new Tiffany necklace. I'm going on a date with Ethan tonight. I wonder if he's a good kisser. I bet he's amazing. Audrey, are you burning with jealousy right now? I looked at her tiny snatched waist in the photo and felt nothing but a wave of relief. She had no idea how fragile and broken that body actually was. Make me look more graceful on the ballet stage. My mother had forced me to undergo surgery to remove 2 of my ribs. Every time it rained, my lower back would throb with an unbearable dull ache. I ignored her message and took another huge, satisfying bite of my waffle. For 20 years, I had finally had a warm, flavorful breakfast. That afternoon, I went to the clinic for a full medical checkup. The doctor reviewed my charts and pushed up his glasses. Your weight is severely over the limit, but the root issue is insulin resistance. Your metabolism is completely ruined from taking unregulated, sketchy diet pills. But if you follow a proper meal plan, do low-impact workouts, and stick to the treatment, you can definitely get healthy again. I gripped the report, my eyes stinging with tears. The doctor gave me a gentle warning. But with your current weight, do not rush into anything crazy. No starving yourself, no intense running, and absolutely do not believe any of those lose 40 pounds in a month scams on TikTok. Heal your body first, the weight loss will follow. I nodded seriously. There were exactly 2 months left before freshman orientation week at Huxley University. I didn't want to starve Chloe's body into a stick, nor did I plan to repeat the deadly weight loss routine I used to endure. This time, I just wanted to make this body healthy. Leaving the clinic, I hired a professional nutritionist and signed up for a gym membership. Nutritionist drew up a detailed balanced meal plan. Carbs, proteins, vegetables, everything was included. Looking at the chicken breast and brown rice on the sheet, I couldn't help but smile. In the past, my mother would also prepare fat-burning meals for me, but that wasn't food. Half an egg in the morning, 3 pieces of lettuce for lunch, and a cup of watered-down skim milk for dinner. If the scale didn't show a drop the next morning, I would be locked in the home gym, forced to run on the treadmill until I threw up. But now my nutritionist told me with a smile, don't starve yourself and don't chase rapid weight loss. We are building a lifestyle, not trying to kill you. My throat tightened. Thank you. When I got home, Emma saw the meal plan and immediately began studying it. How do we make this taste delicious? She murmured. Despite her grumbling, she was up before dawn the next morning heading to the local market. She brought back the freshest organic beef, wild shrimp and crisp greens. Chloe's dad, Mike, went even further. Hearing that I wanted to exercise, he bought a second-hand treadmill on eBay that very afternoon and hauled it up 5 flights of stairs with the help of a neighbor. Take it easy, kiddo, he said, wiping the sweat from his forehead with a warm, goofy grin. Big or thin, it doesn't matter. Being healthy is what counts. Looking at them, my heart felt incredibly full. Chloe, you absolute fool. You had such wonderful parents, yet you look down on them for being poor and simple. On my first day of training, I only managed 10 minutes of fast walking on the treadmill. My back was completely drenched in sweat. My heart was hammering violently against my ribs, and my legs shook like jelly. The personal trainer told me to stop, but I gritted my teeth and pushed through 5 more minutes. In my past life, every time I ran, my mother would stand behind me with a scale and a cold glare. Now there was no one forcing me, yet my steps were steadier than ever. When the 15 minutes were up, I leaned against the handrail, gasping for air. The girl in the mirror was flushed red, her sweaty hair plastered to her face, looking completely disheveled. But I looked at her and smiled. Chloe, day 1 done. Over the next week, I did fast walks every morning and basic strength training every afternoon. My physical baseline was terrible. 10 squats made her knees buckle. She couldn't hold a plank for 15 seconds, and her joints ached. I didn't force it. If it hurt, I rested. If I was hungry, I ate. The scale moved slowly, but my waistline was visibly shrinking. On the 8th night, someone suddenly tagged me in the freshman Snapchat group. Hey, Chloe, I heard you got a gym membership. Is that for real? Right after that, a candid photo of me was leaked into the group. In the picture, I was wearing an oversized hoodie, dripping with sweat, struggling on the treadmill. The group chat instantly flooded with laughing emojis. Is that treadmill rated for industrial weight? The gym owner better have good insurance for the floorboards. Just give up. If you can drop from 200 pounds to 199 by the time college starts, we'll call it a miracle. Someone then tagged at Audrey Miller, Queen Bee. Audrey, what do you think? A few seconds later, Chloe popped into the chat using my old identity. She sent a laughing emoji, playing innocent. Don't be mean. It's really brave of Chloe to try and make a change. But Chloe, sweetie, don't push yourself too hard. Don't ruin your health just to try and compete with me. The group immediately chimed in. Compete with you? With what? She's a hippo. You're a swan. Audrey is way too nice. Still sticking up for her. Then Chloe sent me a direct message on Snapchat. See that no matter how hard you try, you're just a joke. 2 months until move-in day. I can't wait to see you walk onto campus looking like a total freak show. I didn't reply. I just muted the group chat and went back to prepping my meals for the next day. Real change is never made with words. In 2 months, they would see for themselves. I placed the eggs into the boiling water and set the timer. The kitchen window reflected my full figure. I reached out, gently touching the soft, chubby face in the reflection. Just wait. This time I will make sure you walk onto that campus with your head held high. For the next 2 months, I completely ghosted the group chats. I occasionally made jokes at my expense, but I never gave them the satisfaction of a reaction. Every morning at 6 a.m., I was out the door for my walk. I graduated from 15 minutes to 30, then to a full hour. Afternoons were for strength training, and evenings were for skincare and fixing my posture. As the weight melted off, I realized Chloe wasn't ugly at all. She was just severely bloated, and her face was covered in acne from stress and a terrible diet, which buried her features underneath. Her eyes were round and bright, her nose was cute and perky, and her lips were naturally full. Best of all, when she smiled, a sweet little dimple appeared on her left cheek. A month in, I had lost 25 pounds. My insulin levels were stabilizing and my knees no longer ached. In the second month, I focused on body sculpting and posture. I pulled my shoulders back and elongated my neck. The muscle memory from over a decade of ballet training began to wake up in this new body. I stood against the wall for hours, correcting my alignment. When Emma saw me, she thought I was in pain. Chloe, why are you standing against the wall like a statue? I'm practicing my posture, Mom. She walked around me twice, covering her mouth as a huge grin broke out. Well, I'll be. My baby girl stands up so straight now. You look just like those models on TV. I laughed. That kind of pure, unconditional praise was something I had never experienced before in my past life. Even when I won gold at international ballet competitions, my mother would only look at me with a cold, critical eye. Your skirt flew up too high during that spin. It looked vulgar. But here I simply stood up straight, and someone was genuinely proud of me. A week before orientation, I went back to the clinic. 154 pounds. In 2 months, I had lost a total of 46 pounds. It was fast, but my vitals were perfectly healthy. The doctor reviewed my lab results and nodded with satisfaction. Incredible progress. Just keep doing what you're doing. Leaving the clinic, I stood in front of the full-length mirror. For a long time, I still wasn't skinny. My waist still had a soft curve, and my arms weren't bone-thin like they used to be. But the girl in the mirror had glowing skin and bright, lively eyes. She looked healthy, radiant, and free. This was what true beauty felt like. That evening, a poll suddenly popped up in the freshman Snapchat group. Vote Huxley University Freshman Class Ambassador. There were only 2 nominees. Audrey Miller, Chloe Bennett. The group chat went absolutely wild with laughter. Who nominated Chloe? That is foul. Are we voting for an ambassador or a heavy-duty forklift? I'm voting for Chloe. Let's make her the official school mascot. In less than 10 minutes, my vote count skyrocketed to the top. They wanted to see me humiliated on a grand stage. According to the rules, the winner of the poll had to deliver a speech on behalf of the freshman class at the opening ceremony. Chloe, using my old account, sent me a DM. Surprised? I had my friends put your name on the ballot. The opening ceremony is going to be live-streamed on YouTube. I can't wait for the entire Ivy League to see a 200-pound pig waddle onto the stage. You wanted to compete with me? Here's your stage. Right after, she sent a picture of a dress. It was a stunning white haute couture gown my mother had custom ordered for the ceremony. But in the photo, Chloe's face looked incredibly drained. She was much thinner than she had been 2 months ago. Her cheeks were hollow, her lips were pale, and there were dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't hide. It seemed her new life of luxury wasn't as easy as she thought. Before I could close the app, another message popped up. Ethan is going to be on stage presenting the academic awards. How do you think he'll react when he sees you? Do you think he'll throw up? I stared at the screen, and a slow smile crept onto my face. I tapped the screen and cast a vote for myself. Chloe Bennett, thanks for giving me the stage, I typed back. A question mark popped up from her end immediately. I didn't bother explaining. On the morning of the ceremony, Emma pulled out her secret savings card, insisting on taking me shopping. I didn't choose a baggy black dress to hide my body. Instead, I chose a vibrant fire engine red dress. It had a fitted waist, a square neckline, and a flowing skirt that hit just mid-calf. When I stepped out of the fitting room, Emma stared at me speechless. Mom, is it bad? She shook her head rapidly, her eyes shimmering with tears. No, it's beautiful. You look absolutely stunning. At 9 a.m. the opening ceremony commenced. The grand hall was packed with thousands of students, and the YouTube livestream view count was rising rapidly. The class Snapchat group was still buzzing. Where's Chloe? Did she chicken out? Get your screenshots ready, guys. On stage, the dean spoke into the microphone. Now please welcome our freshman representative. Quiet giggles and hushed whispers instantly rippled through the crowd. At that exact moment, I stood outside the heavy double doors of the auditorium, took a deep breath, and pushed them open. The doors swung open. Every conversation in the grand hall died at once. My red dress moved with every step as I walked down the center aisle. For several seconds, nobody seemed to understand what they were looking at. Then someone whispered, "Is that Chloe?" Another student lowered his phone. "Wait, Chloe Bennett." I kept walking. My posture was straight from years of ballet training. My hair was neatly pinned back, my skin was glowing, and the soft curves of my body looked elegant rather than something I needed to hide. I wasn't skinny. I wasn't trying to be. I simply looked healthy. And I was smiling. At the front of the auditorium, Ethan Carter stood beside the podium with a stack of academic awards in his hands. The moment he saw me, his expression completely collapsed. His mouth actually fell open. I almost laughed. This was the same boy who had once watched his friends mock Chloe and said nothing. Now, he couldn't take his eyes off me. The dean leaned toward his microphone. "Miss Bennett." I smiled. "Yes, sir." The dean blinked twice before recovering. "Well, please come up." I walked onto the stage. The applause began slowly. Then it grew. A few students who had laughed at me online started clapping awkwardly, probably because everyone else was. Then something unexpected happened. A girl near the front stood up. She had short black hair, round glasses, and the expression of someone who looked permanently annoyed by humanity. She began clapping loudly. "That was a hell of a comeback," she shouted. Several people laughed.
She pointed at me.
"I'm Priya Shah, by the way.
The haven't I met?
But I already like you." I laughed into the microphone. "Nice to meet you too." Priya sat down looking satisfied. Beside her, a tall boy with messy blonde hair whispered, "You can't just introduce yourself during the freshman ceremony." Priya shrugged. "Watch me." The tension in the hall broke. I looked toward the crowd, and then I saw Chloe. She was sitting in the front row. My old face looked completely different. The designer dress was beautiful, but it hung awkwardly from her painfully thin frame. Her once bright eyes were surrounded by dark circles. She looked exhausted. For the first time, I realized something. Chloe hadn't simply stolen my body. She had inherited my cage. My mother had already begun controlling her food, my private trainers, my schedule, my appearance, everything. And judging from Chloe's hollow cheeks, she had obediently followed every order. She caught my eye. Her face turned white. I smiled politely. "Hello, Audrey." Her lips barely moved. "You?" I raised an eyebrow. "You look tired." Her fingers tightened around her expensive purse. "You did this." I laughed softly.
"No.
"You did this." Her eyes flashed with anger. "You stole my body. You stole mine first." The dean cleared his throat. "Miss Bennett, your speech?" I turned away from her. That was the difference between us. Chloe needed everyone to know she had won. I didn't. I stepped toward the microphone. "Good morning, everyone." The hall became quiet. When I was nominated for freshman ambassador, I assumed it was a joke. A few students looked embarrassed. I smiled. Apparently, some people thought my appearance made me unqualified to stand in front of you. I paused. But Huxley University isn't the beauty pageant. A few people began nodding. I'm here because I worked hard to become healthy. I learned to respect my body instead of punishing it. I learned that being different doesn't make someone less worthy. My gaze briefly passed over Chloe, and I learned that kindness matters more than popularity. The applause started before I finished. This time it wasn't pity. It was genuine. Even Priya was standing on her chair. "That's my girl." The blonde boy grabbed her ankle. "Get down." "No." The dean was visibly fighting a smile. I continued. "College is supposed to be a place where we become better versions of ourselves. So that's the kind of class I want us to build." The applause thundered through the hall. When I stepped away from the microphone, Ethan approached me. His expression was nervous. "Audrey." I turned. He froze. "You know my name?" His face reddened. "I've always known your name." "Interesting." He swallowed. "You look different." "I feel different." He looked down at my dress before meeting my eyes again. "You look beautiful." I smiled. "That's nice." He seemed relieved. Then I added, "Unfortunately, I'm no longer interested in your opinion." His smile disappeared. Behind him, Chloe suddenly stood. "Ethan." He turned. She walked toward him quickly. "Let's leave." Ethan stared at her. He looked confused. "Chloe?"
"Yes."
"Come with me." He hesitated. And that hesitation told me everything. 2 months ago, Chloe had believed Ethan was the prize she had stolen. Now she was discovering that a boy who loved her appearance might not love the person underneath it. Ethan glanced between us. "Why do I feel like something is wrong?" Priya suddenly appeared beside me. "Because your life is apparently a terrible reality show." I burst out laughing. Ethan looked offended. "Who are you?" "Someone who doesn't like you." Priya smiled sweetly. "So we're even." I covered my mouth to hide my laughter. But then the auditorium doors opened. 3 adults entered. My biological parents. My father looked furious. My mother looked horrified. The moment my mother saw me, she stopped dead. Her eyes widened. "Audrey." I looked at her. For 20 years, that voice had controlled my entire existence. Eat less. Run faster. Stand straighter. Smile properly. Hide your scars.
Don't embarrass me.
But today, I wasn't afraid of it. My mother rushed toward the stage. "What have you done to yourself?" I laughed. "Nothing." She stared at my healthy body in disbelief. "You've gained weight." "Yes." "You're wearing red." "Yes." "You're ruining your figure." I stepped down from the stage. "No, Mom." Her face twisted. I finally got my life back. The entire hall went silent. My mother looked around at the hundreds of students watching her. "You belong to me." I shook my head.
"No."
I smiled. "I belonged to you when I was 16 and terrified." I stepped closer. "I'm not that girl anymore." Her face went pale. Then my father spoke. "Audrey, we're taking you home." I laughed. "Which home?" His expression changed. "The Miller estate?" I shook my head. "I don't live there anymore."
He stared at me.
"Then where?" I looked toward the audience. At Emma. At Mike. At the 2 people who had welcomed me without caring about my size, my social status, or my face. I smiled. Home is wherever someone asks whether you're hungry instead of asking what the scale says. Emma covered her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. Mike clapped loudly. "That's my girl." The entire hall erupted. And somewhere behind me, Chloe began crying. But this time, nobody laughed. Because now she finally understood. She hadn't stolen my perfect life. She had stolen a life that looked perfect from the outside. And I had escaped it. The witch's spell had given us each other's bodies. But somehow, it had given me something far more valuable. A family, a future, and a chance to discover who I really was. The applause hadn't even died down when my mother grabbed my wrist. "You're coming home with us." I pulled my arm free.
"No."
Her eyes widened. Nobody had ever told her no in public before. "Audrey, don't embarrass this family." I almost laughed. "Mom, you spent 20 years making sure I looked perfect while nobody knew what was happening behind closed doors. I'm done being embarrassed for you." My father stepped between us. "Audrey, we can discuss this privately."
"No."
I looked at him. "You don't get private anymore." That landed harder than I expected. My father went quiet. Then Chloe suddenly shoved through the crowd. "You're lying." Everyone turned. She pointed at me with trembling fingers. "She isn't Audrey." "I'm Audrey." A confused murmur spread across the hall. I looked at her old face. "Then prove it." She froze. "Tell them something only Audrey would know." Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. I smiled. "My mother's favorite perfume?" "Chanel," Chloe blurted. I shook my head. "She hates Chanel." My mother stared at Chloe. I continued. "She wears that jasmine perfume Dad bought her in Paris." My father slowly looked at my mother.
Her face changed.
I turned toward Chloe. My childhood ballet teacher's name? Mr. Harrison.
No.
Mrs. Bellamy. Chloe's eyes widened. I took another step. What did Dad call me when I was little? She couldn't answer. I smiled sadly. Peanut. My father suddenly covered his mouth. That nickname hadn't been used in years. The hall erupted into whispers. Priya leaned toward the blonde boy beside her. Okay, this is officially better than every freshman orientation I've ever seen. The boy nodded. I'm starting to regret paying attention in class. Priya grinned. You were paying attention? Occasionally. The dean finally stepped forward. Perhaps we should take this discussion somewhere private. No, I said. Everyone looked at me. I took a breath. They deserve to know why this happened. Chloe's face went white. My mother immediately snapped. Audrey, don't you dare. I looked directly into the live stream camera. My name is Audrey Miller. I pointed toward Chloe. And she is Chloe Bennett. Gasps swept through the hall. I explained everything.
The body swap. The witch.
The messages. The way Chloe had mocked me. The way my mother had treated my body. I didn't exaggerate anything. I didn't need to. The truth was already horrifying enough. When I finished, the auditorium remained completely still. Then Priya stood up. So, basically. She looked around. Your ex-friend stole your body and accidentally got herself trapped with your mother? A few students snorted. I laughed. Pretty much. Priya nodded thoughtfully. That's honestly the funniest part. Even I couldn't stop laughing. Chloe looked furious. You think this is funny? No, I said. I think I'm free. That wiped the smile from her face. Then Ethan walked toward me. Audrey. I raised a hand. Don't.
He stopped.
I know what you're going to say. He looked miserable. I didn't know. You didn't care enough to know.
His jaw tightened.
You're right. That surprised me. Ethan wasn't usually the type to admit fault. He looked at Chloe. I thought she was cruel because she always told me you were obsessed with me. I stared at him. Chloe immediately protested. Ethan, that's not true. He shook his head. You sent me dozens of messages about her. Chloe went silent. I believed you, he continued. That was my mistake. He turned back to me. I owe you an apology. I studied him. Then I smiled. Accepted. His eyes brightened. But we're still broken up. His smile vanished. Priya whispered.
Ouch.
I laughed. Ethan actually smiled despite himself. I deserve that. Yes, you did. For some reason, that made my heart flutter. Not because I wanted him back, but because Ethan was finally seeing me as a person rather than a trophy. Before anything else could happen, the auditorium doors slammed open. A short, elderly woman walked inside. She wore a purple coat, enormous sunglasses, and carried a wooden cane decorated with tiny silver bells. She looked completely out of place. She marched straight toward me. Which one of you is Audrey? I raised my hand. The woman stared at me. Then she looked at Chloe. Then back at me. Oh, dear. My stomach dropped. You know what happened? She nodded. I should. She tapped her cane against the floor. I'm Madame Mireille. The name made Chloe stagger backward. You're the witch. The woman removed her sunglasses. I prefer licensed practitioner. You did this to us. Madame Mireille sighed. Yes. The entire room exploded with shocked whispers. I stared at her. You admit it? Of course. She shrugged. I make mistakes. I blinked. You destroyed 2 people's lives because you made a mistake?
No.
She pointed. At Chloe. She paid me.
Then she pointed at me.
She paid me more. Chloe's face crumpled. But you promised it would be permanent. Madame Mireille snorted. I promised nothing. She pulled an old leather notebook from her bag. Body exchange spells require both parties to fulfill certain conditions. I frowned. What conditions? She smiled. The body eventually rejects a soul that refuses to respect it. Everyone went quiet. Chloe's expression changed. What does that mean? It means your current body will gradually become weaker if you continue abusing it. I looked at Chloe. Her pale face suddenly made sense. Madame Mireille continued. And Audrey's body will stabilize if she treats it properly. I stared at her. So the healthier I become, the stronger your connection becomes. And Chloe, she has been starving herself. Madame Mireille sighed. She is destroying the body she stole. Chloe's eyes widened. You're lying. I don't lie. Madame Mireille looked at me. But there is one more condition.
What?
Her expression became unusually serious. The spell can be reversed. Chloe immediately rushed forward.
How?
Madame Mireille smiled. Neither of you can force it. She lifted one finger. You must both willingly exchange back. Chloe froze. I stared at her. She stared at me. Then she smiled. You'll never agree. I shrugged. Maybe. She looked triumphant. Until I added. Why would I? Her smile disappeared. I turned toward Emma and Mike. They were waiting near the stage. Emma opened her arms. I ran straight into them. She hugged me tightly. Mike wrapped both of us in an enormous bear hug. Careful. I laughed. You'll crush me. Mike grinned. That's impossible. You've been doing all the crushing around here. Emma smacked his shoulder. Michael. He laughed. I laughed too. And for the first time I realized something. I wasn't waiting for the spell to end. I wasn't desperate to get my old body back. Because somehow, this body had become mine. The question wasn't whether I wanted Audrey's body back. The question was whether Audrey Miller still wanted the life that came with it. And the answer was becoming clearer every day. Absolutely not. Chloe didn't accept the answer. She waited until the ceremony ended. Then she followed me. I was walking toward the parking lot with Priya and Noah, the blonde boy from the ceremony, when a black SUV screeched around the corner. Priya grabbed my arm. Chloe. I turned. The SUV stopped inches from the curb. The passenger door flew open. Chloe jumped out. She looked furious. You think you've won? I sighed. It's been an exhausting day, Chloe. Can we schedule your breakdown for tomorrow? Priya snorted. Noah covered his mouth. Chloe's face twisted. You stole everything from me. You stole my body. And you stole my life.
No.
I stepped closer. You destroyed your own life. She suddenly pulled something from her purse. A small glass bottle. Madame Mireille's eyes widened. Where did you get that? Chloe smiled. The reversal potion. My stomach tightened. Madame Mireille rushed forward. Don't drink that. Chloe uncapped it. You said the spell could be reversed. It can. Then fix it. She raised the bottle. I moved instinctively. Chloe threw it. I ducked. The bottle smashed against the pavement. Purple smoke exploded across the parking lot. Students screamed and scattered. Run. Priya shouted. Noah grabbed her hand. Where? Away from the witch smoke. I agree. The smoke rolled across the pavement. Then the sprinklers suddenly activated. Water sprayed everywhere. The dean came running out of the building. What is happening? Priya pointed at Chloe. Body swap witch. The dean stopped. I'm sorry. Long story. The sprinkler system turned the entire courtyard into chaos. Students slipped. Teachers shouted. Phones came out. Someone started live streaming. Chloe charged straight toward me. You ruined everything. She grabbed my dress. I stumbled backward. My ballet training saved me. I pivoted and regained my balance. Chloe. She lunged again. This time, I stepped aside. She slipped on the soaked pavement and crashed into a flower bed. Priya stared. Oh my god. Noah winced. That looked painful. Priya nodded. Emotionally devastating. Botanically catastrophic. I couldn't help laughing. Chloe climbed out, covered in mud. You think this is funny?
No.
I looked at the flower bed. The flowers probably don't. Then Ethan ran toward us. Chloe. She immediately rushed toward him. Ethan, help me. He caught her by the shoulders. Stop. She attacked me. Ethan looked at me. Audrey. I didn't touch her. Priya raised her hand. I witnessed everything. Noah raised his too.
Same.
Then about 20 students raised their phones. Everyone had recorded it. Chloe looked around. She realized she was trapped. Her expression changed. Delete those. Nobody moved. One student laughed. Absolutely not. Another said, this is going straight to the freshman group. Within seconds, the internet exploded. Body swap drama at Huxley University. Freshman orientation turns into witch fight. Who is the real Audrey Miller? I stared at the phones. Oh, wonderful. Priya grinned. You're famous. I wanted college friends. You got a fandom. Then I heard a familiar voice. Enough. My mother stormed into the courtyard. She looked at me. Then Chloe. Then the shattered bottle. Her face became furious. Audrey, what have you done? I stared at her. Why do you always assume it's me? Because you are always causing trouble. Chloe suddenly smiled. She ran toward my mother. Mrs. Miller, please help me. My mother immediately wrapped an arm around her. Don't worry. I'll protect you. I almost laughed. Of course. Even wearing my face, my mother still instinctively protected the girl she thought was Audrey. Then Chloe whispered something into her ear. My mother's expression changed. She looked at me. Is this true? What? She says you deliberately switched bodies with her. I stared at Chloe. She smiled. You have no proof. I stepped forward. Actually, Madame Mire raised her cane. I have proof. Everyone turned. She reached into her coat and pulled out a tiny silver mirror. This records the casting of a spell. She held it toward the courtyard. The mirror began glowing. A projection appeared. Chloe's voice echoed through the courtyard. I want her body. Then my own voice. I'll give it to you. My mother's face went pale. The projection continued. Chloe's voice. I want her parents. Then, I want Ethan. The crowd gasped. My mother slowly turned toward Chloe. You did this. Chloe backed away.
No.
The mirror replayed her voice. I want her life. My mother stared at her. For once, she didn't know what to say. Then Chloe snapped. You're all against me. She grabbed the nearest car key from a student's hand and sprinted toward the parking lot. Ethan chased after her. Chloe, stop. She jumped into the SUV. The engine.
Bored.
I froze. She can't drive. Priya's eyes widened. She absolutely cannot drive. The SUV shot forward. Students screamed and jumped aside. It swerved across the parking lot. A security guard blew his whistle. Stop the car. Chloe ignored him. She headed straight toward the university gates. Ethan ran after her. Then, crash. The SUV slammed into the gate. The airbags exploded. Everything went quiet. I ran toward the vehicle. Chloe was conscious. Blood trickled from a small cut above her eyebrow. Ethan opened the driver's door. Are you insane? She stared at him. Then she started laughing. A wild, broken laugh. You wanted Audrey. Ethan froze. Chloe pointed toward me. So, take her. She slammed her head against the seat and screamed. Take her. I stood there watching. For the first time, I didn't see my enemy. I saw a girl who had made one terrible decision after another until she had trapped herself inside the consequences. Then Madame Mire walked beside me. You feel sorry for her? I shook my head. No. I looked toward Chloe. But I don't want her dead either. Madame Mire smiled faintly. Good. Why? Because the spell has one final rule. My stomach dropped. What rule? She looked toward Chloe. The person who dies before the exchange is completed. Her voice lowered. Takes the other soul with them. I stared at her. What? Madame Mire's expression turned grim. If Chloe dies in that body. I looked at Chloe. You die too. My blood ran cold. Then get her out of there. Madame Mire nodded. That would be the sensible thing. Priya stared at her. You're a witch. Can't you just wave your little magic stick and fix this? Madame Mire looked offended. It is a cane. It has bells. Fashion. Noah pointed toward the crashed SUV. Can we argue about fashion after we stop the girl from dying? He was right. I sprinted toward the vehicle. Ethan was already trying to pull Chloe out. She stuck. The driver's door had crumpled against the frame. I looked through the shattered window. Chloe was crying. I don't want to die.
Because it's beside her.
Then don't. She looked at me through my own face. You hate me. I do. She flinched. But I don't want you dead. Her eyes filled with tears. Why? Because I'm not you. That seemed to break something inside her. She looked down. I was jealous. I know. I hated you. I know. I thought you had everything. I glanced toward my parents. From the outside, maybe. Chloe laughed bitterly. You were beautiful.
Rich. Popular.
You had Ethan. And I hated waking up every morning. She looked at me. Why? I hesitated. Because my entire life belonged to everyone except me. Chloe's expression softened. Then the SUV suddenly groaned. Noah shouted. Everyone move. The vehicle shifted. A section of the damaged gate collapsed onto the hood. Ethan grabbed Chloe. Pull.
Ikatam.
Priya grabbed mine. Noah grabbed Priya. Together, we dragged Chloe through the broken window. The second she hit the pavement, the SUV's front end collapsed completely. Everyone stared. Priya breathed heavily. I officially hate orientation. Noah nodded.
Same.
Then Chloe looked at me. I thought you would let me die. I wiped a streak of dirt from my cheek. I thought about it. She stared. I smiled. But Emma would kill me. From behind us, Emma shouted. She absolutely would. I turned. Emma was standing beside Mike, looking furious and terrified. She rushed over and hugged me. Then she hugged Chloe too. Chloe stiffened. Nobody had hugged her like that in months. Emma whispered. You poor thing. Chloe's face crumpled. She began sobbing. My heart twisted. Then my father approached. He looked at Chloe. For once, he wasn't looking at his daughter. He was looking at a scared teenager. Are you hurt? Chloe shook her head.
No.
He nodded. Good. My mother stood several feet away. She hadn't moved. She was staring at Chloe with something I had never seen on her face before. Regret. She approached slowly. Audrey. I looked at her. She stopped. Then she looked at Chloe. Her voice broke. I didn't know. I laughed softly. You didn't want to know. My mother closed her eyes. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I thought I was protecting you. You were protecting an image. She nodded. I know. The admission stunned me. My mother had never apologized. Not once. I was wrong, she whispered. I didn't forgive her. Not yet. But I didn't scream either. I hope you become better. She nodded. That is all I deserve. Then Madame Mireille clapped her hands. Wonderful emotional breakthrough. Everyone looked at her. Now we have another problem. I sighed. Of course we do. She pointed at the shattered bottle. The reversal potion was destroyed. Chloe stared. So we're stuck. For now. Can you make another? Yes. Everyone relaxed. Madame Mireille continued. But I need 3 ingredients. I groaned. Let me guess. They're impossible to find. She smiled. Extremely. Priya stepped forward. Huh? Extremely? Moonflower harvested at midnight. Noah nodded. Okay. Dragon's eye crystal. Priya's smile disappeared. Okay, less okay. And Madame Mireille paused dramatically. The tear of someone who genuinely loves both souls. Everyone went quiet. I frowned. What does that even mean? It means someone who loves Audrey and Chloe equally must willingly cry over what happened to both of you. Priya looked at me. I'll punch you both until somebody cries. That's not how it works. Noah raised his hand. I can chop onions. No. Ethan looked toward me. I immediately shook my head. Don't even think about it. He sighed. I wasn't. You were. He smiled. Maybe a little. Then Chloe whispered. I know someone. Everyone looked at her. She wiped her eyes. My grandmother. She looked down. She loved me before I became obsessed with being Audrey. Emma touched her shoulder. Then let's go. Chloe looked at me. Will you come? I hesitated. Then I smiled. Yeah. And that was how the strangest group imaginable ended up piling into Mike's battered old minivan. Priya sat in the back, with Noah. Ethan sat beside me. Chloe sat across from us. Madame Mireille occupied the front passenger seat like she owned the vehicle. Mike started the engine. The van coughed. Then died. He tried again. Nothing. Priya sighed. Are we sure the universe wants us to survive this? Mike patted the dashboard. Don't worry. Betty is dramatic. The van suddenly roared to life. Everyone jumped. Mike grinned. See. Priya stared at him. I hate Betty. We pulled onto the road. For the first time since the body swap, Chloe and I weren't enemies. We were 2 girls trapped in a disaster neither of us completely understood. And somewhere beyond the city, an old woman supposedly held the key to reversing everything. But as we drove away from Huxley University, I noticed something strange. The silver mirror in Madame Mireille's hands had started glowing again. She looked at it. Her smile disappeared. What? She whispered. Someone else has entered the spell. Everyone went quiet. Who? Madame Mireille slowly turned the mirror toward us. A third face appeared inside it. A face I recognized instantly. Ethan's. He stared back at us from the glass. Then the reflection smiled. But Ethan wasn't smiling in the van. He was sitting beside me, completely confused. I looked from him to the mirror. And suddenly, the blood drained from my face. That's not Ethan. The reflection's smile widened. Then it whispered my name. The reflection whispered my name. Audrey. Ethan jumped. What the hell? Madame Mireille slammed the mirror shut. We're running out of time. Mike gripped the steering wheel. Somebody explain. That isn't Ethan, I said. The reflection had been wearing his face, but its eyes had been completely wrong. Madame Mireille finally admitted the truth. The body swap spell attracted something else. A spirit that feeds on broken identities. If we don't reverse the spell before midnight, it will permanently attach itself to one of you. Priya stared at her. So your solution is? Find the ingredients. Of course. We drove straight to Chloe's grandmother's house. She lived alone in an enormous old farmhouse outside the city. The moment she saw Chloe, she burst into tears. My baby. Chloe collapsed into her arms. I messed everything up, Grandma. Her grandmother hugged her tightly. I know. Everyone froze. You knew? The old woman looked at me. I knew the moment I saw your face. She turned toward Chloe. My granddaughter has spent years believing beauty would make people love her. Chloe sobbed. I was stupid. Yes, Grandma said bluntly. Everyone stared. She shrugged. But you're still my stupid granddaughter. Chloe laughed through her tears. Then her grandmother looked at me. And you. She touched my cheek. You look like a girl who has spent her whole life trying to earn love. My eyes burned. She pulled me into a hug. You don't have to anymore. A tear rolled down her cheek. The silver mirror suddenly flashed. Madame Mireille caught the tear in a tiny crystal vial. One ingredient. Outside, the moon was rising. We raced into the woods searching for moonflowers. Priya carried a flashlight. Noah carried the supplies. Ethan carried absolutely nothing. Priya glared at him. Useful. I offered emotional support. You're breathing. Congratulations. We found the flowers beside an abandoned stone chapel. Then something moved inside. A shadow crossed the doorway. Chloe grabbed my hand. Audrey. I saw it. The creature stepped into the moonlight. It wore Ethan's face, but its body was twisted and unnatural. It smiled. You can't escape me. Ethan stepped forward. Get away from them. The creature laughed. You're already mine. It lunged. Ethan shoved me aside. The creature slammed him against a tree. Ethan. Noah tackled it from behind. Priya grabbed a fallen branch. Move. She swung. The branch shattered against the creature's shoulder. It screamed. Madame Mireille threw the moonflower into the air. Purple light exploded through the forest. The creature recoiled. Now. I grabbed Chloe's hand. We ran into the chapel. Inside was an ancient stone altar. Madame Mireille placed the ingredients onto it. Both of you must choose. Choose what? Whether you truly want your old lives back. I looked at Chloe. She looked at me. For once, neither of us hesitated. Yes. The altar exploded with light. Our bodies began glowing. The spirit screamed outside. No. The window shattered. The creature rushed toward us. Ethan jumped in front of it. It struck him across the room. I screamed. Ethan. He groaned. I'm okay. The spirit lunged again. Chloe suddenly grabbed my hand.
Together.
We pressed our palms against the altar. The spell erupted. The creature was ripped backward, screaming as golden light swallowed it. Then,
Boom.
everything went black. I opened my eyes. I was staring at the ceiling. My ribs hurt. My head spun. I lifted my hands. Slim fingers. Perfect nails. I ran to the mirror.
My old face stared back.
I was Audrey again. Behind me, Chloe gasped. She looked at herself, then burst into tears. I got my body back. I smiled. So did I.
She looked at me.
I don't want to be enemies anymore. I nodded. Good. She smiled weakly. Friends. I pretended to think. Acquaintances. She laughed. Fair. Then Ethan walked in. He stopped when he saw me. His eyes widened. Audrey. I smiled. Hi. He laughed with relief. Then he hugged me. I froze. For a second, I remembered everything. The old Ethan. The cheating. The humiliation. The way he had chosen my appearance over my feelings. I gently pushed him away. I forgive you. His eyes brightened. But I'm not getting back together with you. His face fell. Priya appeared behind him. Congratulations. You just got rejected twice. Noah laughed. Ethan sighed. Can everyone stop enjoying my suffering? No. Priya and I said together. Everyone laughed. Outside, the sun began rising. The body swap was over, but my life had changed permanently. I returned to my parents' house 3 days later. My mother had canceled my private trainers. My father had fired the doctor who had helped enforce my impossible diet. They offered therapy. They apologized. And this time, I believe they meant it. But I didn't move back in. I kept my own apartment. I kept dancing. I ate dessert. I stopped weighing myself every morning. And Chloe? She stayed with Emma and Mike for a while. She started therapy too. She learned to cook. She joined a beginner fitness class. She even apologized publicly for what she'd done. At Huxley, Priya became my best friend. Noah became hers. Nobody understood their relationship. They argued constantly, then showed up together everywhere. Ethan eventually became a decent person. He and I stayed friends. And Chloe? She became my roommate. The girl who once stole my body ended up helping me pick out curtains for our dorm. One night, we sat on the floor eating pizza. Chloe looked at me. Do you ever regret the body swap? I smiled.
No.
Even though it was terrifying, especially because of that. I took another bite. You gave me something I couldn't buy. What? I looked around at my friends. My freedom. Chloe smiled. And you gave me something too. What? A reason to stop hating myself. We clinked our soda cans together. Then the dorm lights flickered. We both froze. A tiny purple reflection appeared in the window. Priya looked up. Noah sighed. Please tell me that's normal. I stared at the reflection. 2 glowing eyes appeared. Then a familiar voice whispered. Round 2. I dropped my pizza. Chloe screamed. Priya grabbed a broom. Noah grabbed a chair. And I laughed. Because apparently, my peaceful college life had lasted exactly 3 days.